Apparently, I'm not good enough for my wife anymore. So she sends me a cold text out of nowhere saying that she's leaving me. And guys, when I explain to you this story and I tell you who she's leaving me for, your jaw is going to drop to the floor. After a business trip, my wife texted me that she was about to leave me for her rich boss. I signed the divorce papers and let her. I've been suspecting that my wife is keeping something from me for a long time. I just never thought it was this bad. I've always imagined us growing old together, moving into a smaller house close to our kids and walks at the end of the day, playing with our grandkids and reminiscing about the old times. If you told me 6 years ago that I would be in a committed relationship, I would have laughed at you. I never wanted to get married when I was younger. My own parents' failed marriage was enough to scare me of it, and I've always thought that someone who would fall out of love with the other, so they would end up hurting them. At the time, I was dating my ex Chelsea. She was a good girl, but I did not see any future with her. I wanted to be single for the rest of my life, and I did not know why I was even wasting her time. After yet another ugly breakup, I decided to pack up my stuff and move to a different city. My uncle, who was the only parent that I knew, had gotten me a better job with good pay. That was when I met my wife, and she was doing some consulting work for my uncle's firm. She was a very serious woman, beautiful, polite, but not too polite. She did not speak unless spoken to, and she appeared to be very cold. She came to his house often, and I had to interact with her. One day she was doing some work and it was getting late, but when she tried to start her car, it would not start. My uncle was not at home and my car was getting fixed, and that was the first time that we spoke. I realized that she was not cold, she was just very shy and soft-spoken. She was so freaked out about the car because she left her sick sister at home. So that night I fixed her car for her, and she was on her way. The next morning she brought me some of the tastiest quesadillas I've ever had, and she told me that she learned how to make them at her old job before she got into this field. Well, I was hooked from the very start. Everything happened so quickly. We went on a date, liked each other, and started to date. She stopped working with my uncle to prevent a conflict of interest. But it was the last thing that she did for me that made me start dreaming about a future with her. She changed me. Suddenly, I was always so worried about her, and now I wanted to be with her always. I've never considered myself to be a jealous person, but she made me one. When my uncle got diagnosed with chronic pain and his health started to deteriorate, she was there for me. He had years of treatment, but he was never going to be normal again. All he had left were years of pills and treatments to elevate the pain. She was with me as I tried to figure out how to take this, and the man who raised me was in pain and did not have the long left. He spoke to me one day after Liana and I had been dating for 2 years. He asked me what I was doing with the poor girl. Was I going to dump her when things got real? He told me that he wished he was not alone those days, and even though I was there, it was not the same. My uncle, all his life, had never married. He had girlfriends that came and went, and I just wanted to be like him. I did not want to be tied down to a marriage. He told me that he was sorry that he taught me that this was the way and only way you could live life. He asked me to open my heart and consider having a family because, with me, the bloodline's going to die. His ominous words stayed with me, and I tossed around the idea in my head, and that's when I decided that he was right. I did not want to lose her. I could not imagine being with anyone else other than her. So I proposed to her, and she said yes, and we have had 4 years of maritable bliss. We have 2 children together, and she's the best mother in the world. I never noticed it when she changed, maybe because she's a good actor. I never realized that our family was holding her back from what she really wanted to be. We have a fairly good life. I make good money at my job, enough to sustain our family, and she, on the other hand, has only started working again 3 months ago. I did not want her to work, as giving birth to the last baby was a bit strenuous on her body, but she wanted to work, so hey, I'm not going to stop her. Her work hours are very abnormal, and I'm not a fan of it. We cannot afford to get a nanny, so I have to take care of the kids when she's at work. It's not a big problem, as the kids are mine. The only problem is that she never gets a second of rest. Sometimes she takes on extra work, picking up the slack for other people, and I've talked to her multiple times and reminded her that she has an 8-month-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. I have to come home from work, feed them, play with them till they finally sleep, and I've considered getting a babysitter, but she does not want to. She says that it'll be a waste of money, and what she really wants is for us to save so that we can buy a big house. Our house is an apartment with 2 bedrooms, and it's not the biggest. I would like us to upgrade at some point, but have you seen the housing market? She's told me many times to ask my uncle for money, but I don't want to. He's sick, and he does not have to be funding my lifestyle. I can work on my own to buy a house fit for my family, and I seriously did not want to stress him about money since he had to step down from his position at work recently. He's too sick to continue working, and he cannot even concentrate most times. I try to be there for him when I can, especially on the weekends. I thought that everything was okay and that she was not that mad, but me not asking for money. Little did I know that my wife was obsessed with money. I had no idea that all these years she's been comparing our life with that of her friends, and that she feels resentful of me because she's not been able to advance her career. I did not know the resentment for me never having taken trips out of the country. She feels that I'm stopping her from living a lavish life, and so she has found someone else who will do so. So now she wants me to sign divorce papers since she's fallen for her boss. Well, she tells me that he has more than enough money to take care of her. She sent all of this to me through a text message, by the way. She is somewhere right now, I think, with her sister, and I've asked her if she can come and talk to me in person about this. I feel that she's pulled the rug from beneath my feet. I had no idea that I was making her so unhappy that she preferred her much older boss. I know about her boss. He's very popular where we stay. He's old, makes a lot of money, is a widower. His wife passed away last year. How dare he move on with another man's wife? What I heard about Tom is that he's an honorable man. Never would I ever have thought that someone I respected so much would come and ruin my marriage. So here I am sitting in this house with 2 kids. My wife has not replied to my messages. She was supposed to take them to daycare tomorrow, and guess she'll not be there. So, I don't know what the future holds. All I feel is dread. I am reminded of my parents' marriage and how ugly it turned. I don't want us to be like that. I don't want us to fight. We've never fought. We've always just communicated. Which is why I feel like this is a very crappy way to tell me that she does not love me. Update, we are done. Hey guys, another post. Thank you so much for your supportive messages, for real. I've been trying to read through them all, and before I tell you what happened with me and my wife, let me give you a bit of summary of my parents' marriage. They were 2 Broadway actors who fell in love, got married soon and had a son, and they could not take care of me because they were too focused on their dreams. There was seldom peace in the house, and they fought often. One day, the fight got so bad that they ended up hurting each other. The neighbors called the police, and my father was arrested for domestic violence. My mother refused to take me, and I was just passed around from family member to family member, but none of them wanted me. And then my uncle, whom I'm not related to, found me one day. I'd run away from home and was trying to find a job. I was 15 years of age, but lying about my age so that I could get a job. I stayed with my mother's sister, but she was a raging alcoholic. She never realized that I was gone. She never had any food in the house, so it was up to me to get food myself. My uncle, well, he was kind enough to take me in. He's taken care of me since I was 15, and it's the most important person in my life. I told myself that if my marriage ever turned bad, I would make sure to end it amicably. I don't want kids to go through what I've been through. So I signed the papers and sent them to her today. She then came by an hour ago and fetched her stuff, and she came with her sister, as she did not say a word. The last time I saw her sister, she was looking worse for the wear. My wife took care of her medical bills, and we tried to help each other out when we could. She looks so much better now. She at least had the decency to address me when her sister was in the other room. She told me that she did not agree with what her sister was doing, and she asked me to fight for full custody of the children because she didn't like the man that Liana was getting married to. I asked her why she would say that, but then Liana entered the room, and the matter was forgotten. I could not help but think about what she said, though. I'm going to give her the divorce, but it's unclear whether she wants the kids or not, and it's not like she's taken care of them for months anyways. I think that they'll be better off with me. She can go start her new life if it makes her feel better. Update number 2. 1 year has passed. Hey guys, I'm sorry I haven't updated this in a while. A lot of stuff happened in my life after I signed those darn divorce papers. My ex-wife tried to get custody of the kids, but I was able to prove to the courts that I was a fit father. I had all the proof that she spent all her time working while I took care of the children. The warning that Saskia gave me months ago kept on ringing in my head. The warning, well, I wondered what it was that she saw about that man that made her feel like that. Well, I won custody of the children. What was supposed to be a happy day for me quickly turned upside down, however. I get a call. My uncle, he's passed away in his sleep. I hated that while I was in court fighting for custody, he was busy fighting for his life. I wondered what his last words were. I was ridden with guilt and regrets, but I promised him that I would carry the family line. I changed my surname to his when he adopted me. I've not seen myself as anything else other than his nephew. A few days after we laid him to rest, I was called for the will reading, and he left his stuff to some business associate, close friends, etc., but what he left for me was surprising. Well, I didn't even know he had this. $3 million worth of assets, including his house. I was shocked. I never thought that I would inherit it, considering that he has a son. His son abandoned him years ago and did not even come to the funeral, so I guess it's not surprising that he left him with nothing. My life has changed since I came into my fortunes. I was finally able to afford to get someone to help me with the kids. I tried to be an active father in their lives, and my ex moved away. She is the town over, and I do hear about her often and see her on social medias, but we don't talk. She seems very happy, and I guess that's good for her. At least she has the wealthy husband that she's always wanted. I, on the other hand, have been growing my uncle's assets. I want to make sure that my children have a good future. I want to make sure that they never know what hunger is. There's only one thing that I live for, and that is my children. I don't see myself getting married again. I think that chapter is closed with my ex-wife. Well, tomorrow is a very big day for me, guys. For tomorrow, I'm going to make a deal that'll change my life forever, and there is a failing company that's in desperate need of help. So a friend of mine, we're pulling in resources to buy it and rebrand it, and we've made all the plans and projections, and we know that once we take over, it'll be a whole new company, and it will be successful. I wish that my uncle could see me now, but I know that he's looking down on me. Update: my ex-wife's sister showed up at the house out of the blue. Guys, you cannot make this up. I'm still shocked and still trying to wrap my head around what Saskia's told me. She's told me that my ex-wife and her husband are about to lose everything. Or actually, I bought one of their companies months ago. Remember that one that was in dire need of saving? Well, Saskia came to my house a day ago, and she has quite the story to tell. She told me that when she started to live with her sister and Tom was a very possessive person of her sister. In the beginning, he pretended to be a good person, but soon he showed his true colors. He told Saskia that she had to leave or earn her keep at the house, and since she had no skills, she had to work in the kitchen. She was always being verbally abused by him, and her sister said nothing. Her sister always had bruises on her face, even though she tried to cover them up with makeup. And then Liana's sister started taking sleeping pills so she could just deal with the pain. That was when Saskia found out from other women who worked there that the man's last wife did not have cancer. She was abused, to the point of going crazy, and one day she just woke up and she said no more. No one spoke of her again, and Saskia told me that she needed help saving her sister. Right now, her sister is very depressed, and the abuse is not stopping, and there's no one to tell or no one that would believe. She asked if I could get someone to launch an investigation into Tom's ex-wife so that maybe he could be convicted. He was slowly losing everything now, and he was taking it all out on her sister. I told her that I was not going to get involved and she should leave me alone, but she begged me. She told me that there was no one else who could help her. She didn't want to go back to that monster, so I agreed, and I asked her if she had a picture of this woman. I would get someone on it. She handed me a picture of Tom and his late wife, and my blood ran cold. Though she was much older, there's no mistaking my mother. I only remember her a little bit, but I know those eyes. So I guess she finally got what she wanted, to be a trophy wife. I could not believe that she was so close, and she did not even look for me. She was so close, and she passed without saying sorry for how she messed up my life. I could not even look at that picture for too long without feeling a hint of rage. She was just like my wife, thinking that money could solve everything when it could not. So while I was being passed around from house to house, she was busy living that life. After my father got sent to jail, she never came back for me. Knowing that hurts me, and I cannot help but wonder if she knew that I was oh so close. All that matters now, though, what matters is the woman who was once the center of my world. She's in danger. She might have hurt me beyond anything I've ever felt, but she is still the mother of my children. I'd be damned if my kids grew up with no mom because of Tom. As for Tom, I have an axe to grind with him. So, he first took my mom, then he hurt Saskia. Now it's time for me to meet his match. I'll find out everything there is to know about that damn man, and I'll make sure that he loses everything. I want him to pay for everything that he's done. He thinks that just because he's powerful, he can get away with anything. Well, sadly for him, I'm not keen on letting him. He's messed with the wrong one. Update 2 months later. I held on to my choice. I needed to do something. I needed to find out the truth, but for me to do that, I needed Saskia and Liana out of the house. I also needed to make sure that I defeated him in business by getting as much information on him as I could. What I found out was shocking. Listen up. He met my mom shortly after she split from my dad, and he's just gotten divorced. His ex-wife cited abuse, but there was not any proof, and my mom stayed out of the spotlight for most of the years, which is strange, considering how much she wanted to be an actor. There is not much about her, except her demise from cancer. Normally, I would not be allowed to access her medical records, but since I'm her biological son, it was easy to prove it and have access to them. She was being treated, she was very sick, but it was not her body that was sick, it was her mind. My mother passed away from an overdose, but Tom lied about it. Then not even after a year, he married my wife, and at first I thought this was some sort of personal vendetta against me. The only problem was that there was nothing that tied me and Tom together. Not even my father, who disappeared without a trace years ago, and I told all of this to Saskia and told her to warn her sister about him. Saskia promised that her sister was going to come with her on a certain day, and I had already made arrangements for them to live somewhere else as my plan came into motion. The last thing I wanted was for him to hurt her. Saskia came on the day, but she told me that my sister could not leave the house, and her husband was going to be home all day, as there was no way that she could sneak out. We talked throughout the day and made a plan for me to come to her house in the middle of the night and pick her up. Little did I know that it was a trap. She told the old man everything, and I still don't know why, and as soon as I got there, an armed response was being called. They hurt me pretty badly, and I had to spend the night in the hospital. He told me to stop digging around in the past or else I'll find myself in a shallow grave. It's all so surreal, I cannot believe that she betrayed me like that. I went through all that to help her, and she told him that I was coming for him, I was going to protect her, but I think that she needs to get out of this on her own. I sent her sister away. She's somewhere safe where she can have a fresh start. I've spent the past few days healing and thinking about what I want to do next. He is not a good man. He's hurt a lot of people, and he's the reason that I don't have a mother. Now, my kids have no mom, and they'll be asking me one day, why was this the case? I know most of you would tell me not to save her because she does not want to be saved. After that stunt, I was very close to not saving her, but I had to. I have to at least know that I've tried. Update 1 week later. Something came to me today. I've been looking through my mother's pictures over the years, and I've tried to get her in my mind to see what she was thinking when she was with him. I've wondered why she never had kids with them, and if I would like my siblings if I had them. I've also been speaking to one of her closest friends, and I cannot reveal too much about this person for her own safety, but she's someone who knows more than other people know. If we play cards right, this man will be behind bars before we know it. She's going to be the star witness, the one who makes sure that he is brought to judgment, and let us hope that this goes well, for if it does not, then I have nothing else. Update. A few days later, the house of cards went down. Over the past few days, Tom has spread rumors about me, which has forced me to step away from my business. He's done this to make sure that I have no credibility. What he does not count on was him getting arrested, as he was addressing people at a charity gala. He was arrested for abusing my mom and possible homicide. When he was not granted bail, people started to realize that he might actually be guilty and that I was onto something. I made sure that I told everyone the truth, all of it. I also made sure that they all knew it if anything happened to me. It was Tom. Within a few days, his house of cards tumbled down, and this was just the push that his business needed before they all failed. It was revealed that he was behind on his tax payments, way above his overdraft, and the bank wanted his house. Liana was kicked out of the house in a very public and embarrassing way, and guess who she came for help? She told me that he found our text and made her spill everything. I want to trust her all with my heart, but all she's done in the past is just speak against her. I know that she's only coming to me because I'm the only person that can protect her. With such a scandal, it'll be a while before she finds a job in this city again. It's also worth mentioning that this woman thinks that she can now just be a good mother. She has not once asked to see the kids since she moved away, and she thinks that I've forgotten how she was quick to jump to someone with more money. Now she wants to beg for forgiveness because her cash cow is in jail? There is one thing that makes me think that she is insincere, and it's the fact that she has not respected my wishes. I told her not to speak about my mother. The topic has always been off limits, but it's even worse now that I know what her final days were. I still need time to process that she's never came back for me. I get that she was in an abusive marriage, but she could have left. She could have done so many things. I told Liana not to mention her because I was trying to keep her off my mind. But she keeps on talking about it and is getting very, very annoying. She keeps on saying that she was under a spell and, well, just made her act a bit different. It still does not change the fact that she had an affair with her boss. It was just her luck the man was a jerk who was damned to lose everything that he had. I'm just trying to figure out how the hell I can go and get her out of my house. I'm just scared that if I let her leave, then something bad will happen to her. So now I don't know what to do. I don't want her in my house. She brings back so many painful memories. About 6 months later, time for the final update. The past few months have been difficult as I've had to force my past, and I guess it was long overdue. But I was in a bit involved in the case due to Saskia telling me what was happening in the house. So, his defense was strong, and they tried to twist it some other way, but they did not count on so many witnesses who came forward. Even his employees testified that he was cruel to them. He also had the case of tax evasion and other financial problems, which were cases of their own. In my mother's case, he got 5 years, and for abusing my ex, he got a year. He's still being tried for his business and crimes, and finally my ex moved out of my house. She found a job and is staying around town, and I let her see the kids on the weekend, but that's all. She had to move out after she started to be an issue in my house. Whatever sleeping pills she was taking, she got addicted really fast. So I told her to get some help, but she refused. She refused to get help and she refused to leave the house, so here I was stuck caring for a grown woman who got herself into this mess. I apologize if I have no mercy. I did my part by saving her, and I think I deserve the rest. When she started stealing from me, though, I knew enough was enough. I sent her to get some help and told her that if she ever relapsed again, then she was not going to see the children. Her sister helped her out and supported her as she got better, and she's so lucky that her sister sticks with her. Saskia even got a job waitressing and was able to support the two of them for months before Liana got a job. This is a huge milestone for her, because Saskia has been sick for many years, and I will not reveal what she's been sick with. All I can say is that she's better now. So, I'm beginning to have a normal life, raising my kids and growing my business to make sure that my kids are well taken care of when they grow up. I don't want them to ever rely on someone else. Lord knows there are very few people like Uncle Steve who actually have a good heart in this world. So that's all I live for. My children. I know I cannot rely on their mother. Even though she's working now, she's not living with me. She's always bothering me. She's always getting into crap and expecting me to get her out. I try to cut her off when it gets too much, but I guess my heart is just too good. It is definitely my own fault and something that I need to work on. Tom and Liana. That's the argument for this story. I want to know from you guys. Who is the most toxic person of this story? I mean, we have Tom. On one hand, he's just a bad person. He was convicted to prison at the end of the story, and we know his whole ordeal. Liana, she leaves OP, gives up her life of romance and everything that they've been through together just to chase after this rich old man. And when things don't work out between the two, she tries to weasel her life back into OP's like a little slithery snake. And guess what? OP doesn't really like that. So it leaves me with a question in my head that I'm pondering about. Who was the worst, most toxic person of the story? Drop your comment downstairs, guys. Let's talk about this one. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every day. Go and check out the playlist in the description. If you want more daily videos, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!